the second time you're joining me today, welcome back. I have a very special surprise guest for you. It wasn't originally on the schedule, but what happened is very often our guests are an outcome of previous guests or referred. And on Monday, we had the lovely Elise Jones talking about healthy living through yoga. And she had mentioned that her husband, Dr. Michael Klaper, was teaching a master class called, I'm not sure what it's called now because it's escaping me, but it is a master class. And I'm so sorry that I've forgotten the name of the class, but I'm sure he's going to tell you what it is. But she also mentioned that he's now doing telemedicine appointments in several different states. And many people had questions about that, but I didn't feel it was right to encroach upon her episode where she was teaching yoga to answer these questions. So Dr. Klaper kindly agreed to come on today and answer anyone's questions about these wonderful telehealth appointments that you can get now, depending on what state you live in. And I'm sure he'll tell you which states there are. But more importantly, this masterclass, which sounds absolutely fabulous. And before he does that, I asked him if he could just spend a few minutes talking about what moving medicine forward is. And I'm going to be posting the links to everything we're talking about. But for now, I'm going to welcome one of the most beloved doctors in the world, and certainly in the plant-based world, Dr. Michael Klaper. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for the invitation, AJ, for the opportunity to speak to your viewers. It's really important.
Absolutely. Lori says, Dr. Klaper, I respect you so very much. They don't make doctors like Dr. Klaper anymore, do they? I don't think so. You're one of a kind. So Dr. Klaper, your website, the first thing, and I'm going to post the link and people should sign up because you send out wonderful emails. Moving medicine forward. What is that? What does that mean?
Thank you for asking. I graduated medical school in the early 1970s, and for the first 9 years of my medical career, I was practicing regular blood and guts medicine in emergency rooms and operating rooms. And it was exciting medicine and get to do a lot of things to the human body. But after 9 years, I looked at my practice and I saw most of my patients were not getting healthier. They were getting more obese and more diabetic and having strokes and heart attacks and cancers. And I said, if this is going to be my career for the next 35, 40 years, I'm not going to be a very happy doctor, to say the least. At about the 9.5-year mark, 1981 in my career, I adopted a whole food plant-based diet. My body loved it. My high blood pressure went to normal. My high cholesterol went to normal. A 20-pound spare tire of fat melted off my waist. I felt great waking up in a nice lean body. And I said, aha, I think I've figured out how to really help my patients get healthier. And indeed, that proved to be the case. And for the past 35 years, I've been using plant-based nutrition as the cornerstone, the foundation of my medical practice. And what we see is just absolutely remarkable. When you change from an animal-based overly processed, high sugar, high fat diet that the standard American eats, and go to a whole food plant-based diet and run these wonderful phytonutrients through the bloodstream day after day, month after month. The changes are astounding. The body, the healing forces that are always at work suddenly come to the fore. They're augmented, and what we see are changes in the body I was taught never happened. High blood pressure never goes away. Diabetes, one's on insulin, always on insulin, no one gets off insulin. And lo and behold, people were getting leaner, their high blood pressure was coming down, their diabetes was going away, their sore joints stopped hurting, their psoriatic skin was cleared up, their asthmatic lungs stopped wheezing so much, their migraine headaches got better. And I realized what a powerful modality this is. And so I've been very gratified to be a plant-based physician all these years. But as everyone knows, it's one of the worst kept secrets in medicine. The average physician does not know a thing about nutrition, doesn't know anything about this. All they know is to raise the dose of statins and more metformin, and when you're going to get your stent done. This is Western medicine. And it's really, it's beyond unfortunate. It's really unethical to withhold this powerful information from our patients who could transform their lives. And I'm thinking, why don't doctors know this? I mean, how many times have most people walked out of their doctor's office saying, why doesn't my doctor, I mentioned nutrition to my doctor, and he turned up his nose and threw me out with an air of contempt. That's it. In view of the powerful nature of this technique. How can doctors be still doing that? So I realized that medical education doesn't mention a thing about nutrition. It's embarrassing how we just blow right past what our patients are eating as if it has no effect on these diseases. And we focus on some genetic mismatch on chromosome 21. When the reality is what they're running through their bloodstream every 4 hours with the foods that we eat. And I said, why didn't somebody tell me this in medical school? It would have changed my whole career. It would have changed every diagnosis I made, every treatment plan I suggested. Why isn't somebody telling us? Why isn't somebody telling the medical students now? And so 2 years ago, along with the Planned Parenthood Communities folks, we formed the Moving Medicine Forward initiative. And the heart of that is me going around to the various medical schools in North America and giving the medical students the lecture I wish somebody had given me 50 years ago. And I tell them, listen, you're not going to be seeing smallpox and leprosy in the outpatient clinic. It's going to be obesity and diabetes and clogged arteries from what your patients are eating. And if you get them on a whole food plant-based diet, these diseases go away. And that is so profound. I tell the young doctors, what, as a healer, as a physician, what more could you want than to reverse these fearsome diseases that are going to destroy your patient's life, to turn them into lean, healthy people with open arteries and normal pressure and normal blood sugars? What a gift to give your patient. Isn't that the goal you want to work for? And so I tell them, before you order another $1,000 scan, another $500 set of blood tests, ask your patient what they ate yesterday. And if it's full of burgers and buffalo wings and pepperoni pizzas, that's why they're sitting in front of you, doctor, obese and hypertensive and diabetic and clogged up and inflamed. Get them on a whole food plant-based diet, they get better. So I've been going to the med schools, and the students have been very open to this lectures and to this message. We are beginning to form nutrition interest groups at the various schools. So it's not a one-time drive-by lecture, so that we keep the interest up among the students. And we're hoping to transform Western medicine. So we start creating graduating class after graduating class of young doctors who, of course, know that they're dealing with nutrition-based diseases. And of course, plant-based diets reverse these diseases. It needs to be inculcated into the standard educational curriculum, medical schools. But we've got a lot of work to do before that happens. But it starts with at least speaking the truth to these young students. So that's what the Moving Medicine Forward initiative started out to be. The COVID virus has made us transform a bit, which we can talk about. But basically, we're trying to create a nutritional awakening among not only young doctors, but dentists and pharmacists and podiatrists and physiotherapists, occupational therapists. They're all dealing with dietary diseases. All their patients are bringing diseases to them from what they're eating. They all need to know about this. So we want to get this message out to all of them. Long-winded answer, but
no, but it's important. I think it's great. The population you're working with, it almost sounds like you need to write a book, Everything I Wish I Learned in Medical School.
Indeed, and that's sure going to come out of our masterclass, and that's clearly on the horizon. We need to do that. Sure.
Yeah, I definitely want you to talk about the masterclass first. I just want to read a couple of nice comments. Sherry says, I learn from you every time I hear you speak, Dr. Klaper. Thank you for all you do and all you teach us. And Leslie says, my favorite quote of his, it's the food, it's the food, it's the food. And, Dr. Klaper, it's interesting because it's one thing when doctors don't know about nutrition, because you can't know what you can't. Say something so you'll jump on screen.
It's the sign off the wall of my office. It's the food. It's been the food all along.
That's beautiful. We need a T-shirt that says that.
Indeed.
When your doctor doesn't know, he can't advise you. But what drives me even more crazy is when they say it doesn't matter, or that the vegan diet is not health. That's even worse than just not knowing and saying nothing.
as scientists, how can they say that after you know that every 1 milligram of a drug changes everything in the body? How can you not say that flooding the tissues with saturated fats and cooked animal protein and high fructose corn syrup every 4 hours doesn't have any physiologic effect, doctor? That's so unscientific. How can you say that with a straight face? And the young docs, they know. In every medical school class now, there's 20 or 30 young students who've seen movies like Forks Over Knives. They've seen What the Health. They've seen Cowspiracy. The light's on. These students are way ahead of their professors on that level. But somebody needs to validate what they're saying. You're not crazy. It's the food. It's really that important. And doesn't negate anything else they're learning. And thank heavens for acute care medicine. But by the time you get your stent, or your cancer surgery, a lot of health has been lost, and we want to prevent that. We want to reverse it, and these are reversible diseases with a whole food plant-based diet. The young docs have to know that message.
Yeah. Wendy says another one of her favorite quotes of yours is, "Your body is never not looking."
Yeah, there's no fooling your body. You can't tell your body, look over here, they have a cheeseburger there. What was that? Like, who are you kidding? Your arteries know, your liver knows, your microbiome knows. Shakespeare says that thine own self be true. Dr. Klaper says, thine own health be true, thine own arteries be true. And we're talking about the truth here and what we're really meant to run on as a simian creature, as a hominid creature. We are plant-eating simians. We need to honor that. When we go to flesh foods, we violate natural law, and disease comes down on us when we do that. We got to get back to our natural plant-based diet and things get better.
Yeah. I love when you say the poison is in the dose.
Indeed, the dose makes the poison. Everybody can do a little bit of arsenic, but a lot of it's going to get you in trouble. And people have a little meat once a month or so. It's probably not going to do terrible things to them. But you can't eat it 3 times a day, year after year, and think it's not going to have an effect. Changes everything. Change your blood vessels, change your microbiome. And this is what we're going to be talking about in our masterclass sessions, about all the effects that both animal-based diet and plant-based diets have, and how it changes your viewing of health and disease once you know this.
Well, speaking of the masterclass, Carla, who's watching live, said she just signed up. I'm going to post a link to it, but can you talk a little bit about what it is?
Right. Well, I've been doing plant-based medicine for 35 years, and in all due modesty, I've learned a thing or two. There's an art, there's a craft to understanding what's happening in the body. If you're dealing with a patient with Crohn's disease or colitis, to visualize what's happening in that colon wall and how to devise a treatment plan with plant-based foods to help that gut wall heal. If you're dealing with a patient with angina from clogged arteries, there's an art. There are things to focus on. There's a lot of science to know about what is visualizing what's going on in the arteries and what would be the best way to start melting those plaques away. There's a body of knowledge how to fuel a plant-based athlete, how to help a woman who's pregnant to make it through a plant-based pregnancy, how to raise a child on a plant-based diet. How about cancer and nutrition? These are all subjects that I've learned quite a bit about over the years, and I'd like to share this knowledge with people. It's not that hard, but there's some solid science that once you see it, once you click and look at the lens of nutrition at that patient sitting in front of you, a lot more of their disease is going to make sense. And the treatment plans they need will suggest themselves as well. You become just a nutritionally aware physician. I want to give my patients what I call my students what I call nutrition vision, where you look at the patient, you can see what they've been eating and what's going on in their bodies, what their likely inflammatory quotient is, and how to begin the psychological dance of helping them change their diet, and that's also an important part of the classes as well. So it's going to be 12 classes twice a month. And a few days before each class, people will get a PDF file that has a sample, a clinical case that we will discuss that embodies the principles of that lesson. A lot of questions about how food created the condition we're looking at, how plant-based foods will change that, and a whole bunch of scientific citations and references to fill in the evidence-based case for a particular treatment program. But hopefully at the end of all 12 master classes, people dealing with patients, doctors, dentists, nurse practitioners, when that overweight hypertensive patient comes into the office but doesn't have diabetes, they'll see one thing. When the diabetic patient comes in, they'll understand something else. And they'll be a more nutritionally aware, nutritionally savvy practitioner. And that pharmacist who's looking at the drugs they're on, she will know why they're on these particular medications, and maybe to be able to do some counseling at the pharmacy to help them change their diet. There's so many opportunities. The whole society, the patient should be getting the message of healthy eating from the doctor's office, the pharmacist, at the dentist, at the podiatrist. They should all be talking about healthy plant-based foods. And the masterclass will give people the understanding and the conviction to talk to their patient about this most powerful healing modality.
So, Dr. Klaper, is this class just for health professionals, or could lay people take it as well?
That's an important question. I have to admit, it is for medical students. It is for practicing physicians. I want to talk to my colleagues. Here is what you are seeing in the clinics here. Here's why your patients look the way they do. Here's why their lab tests look the way they do. Here's the deficits that are in their tissues. Here's the foods that will correct it. Here's what you need to do about these imbalances and help your patient transform their body and their lives into true health. And so I am talking to my colleagues, and I'm talking to the young students. But surely if there's a health coach who's had basic high school biology, they're going to get something out of this. I'm talking English. And yes, there'll be some enzyme kinetics and a few other things, but by and large, it's pretty basic science as well. So yes, the lay public could definitely benefit from it. But if you've got some science training, it's certainly going to increase your appreciation and understanding of the material.
Well, I'm looking at the website now, and the modules sound amazing. The class starts on July 12th, and it ends on my husband's birthday, December 20th, and it's twice a month. It's 2 hours, 7 to 9 Eastern time. Class 1 is how and why plant-based clinical nutrition works. Class 2, healing hearts and arteries with plant-based nutrition. Well, Class 3, I'd love to be at, overcoming obesity and reversing type 2 diabetes. Class 4 is how to vanquish colitis, Crohn's disease, and other GI disorders with plant-based foods. And Dr. Klaper knows a lot about that because he was a guest on the GI Health Summit. Class 5 is treating the cause of autoimmune disease. Class 6, strategies for strong bones and healthy joints, inflammatory arthritis, and osteoporosis prevention and reversal. Oh, Class 7, how to fuel a plant-based athlete. Class 8, extremes of life, plant-based programs for healthy pregnancies, growing kids, and high-functioning seniors. That's me. I'm a senior now. And Class 9, cancer. Can water fasting and plant-based nutrition help? Class 10, optimizing vital organ function, plant-based nutrition for healthy skin, nerves, kidney, and liver. Class 11, eating healthy in the real world, recipes, resources, and motivational counseling. And Class 12, meeting the challenges ahead, nutrition in the time of COVID-19, ecological aspects of animals versus plant-based diets. I think I might take it. It sounds amazing. I mean, there's like 6 modules right now that I'm like, gosh, I really want to learn that.
Sure. Well, I know the guy who's given the course. We'll see if we can get you in somehow, AJ.
But it really does sound fabulous. And guys, if you're not going to take it, at least share this information and tell your doctor to take it. That's who we really want to take it.
Really, absolutely.
Are you going to deliver this live, Dr. Klaper, or this pre-recorded?
Yes, I'm going to be delivering it live, and there'll be not only Q&As that we'll be glad to deal with, but I want to leave a few minutes at the end of each session. I want the medical students at the various schools I think we'll probably have a Facebook page that people could start talking what's happening at their school as far as clinical nutrition, plant-based nutrition, what is working. Is this being used in any clinics? What's not working? I've got a very antagonistic professor. Oh, I've got a really positive professor. We started using an orthopedic clinic, and the patients were receptive, pediatric, not so much. I like them talking to each other. And so in between the classes and long after the classes, they know that they've got colleagues at other schools. They know that this is a burgeoning network that is going to be taking its rightful place in just a daily practice of the health professions. So we want to get a community cross-pollinating each other here. And so we'll be talking about that as well. But the entire package each time is, as you mentioned, right around 2 hours. At the end of the 12 sessions, all 12 sessions will be available as a package for sale. And we'll have the individual sessions available for sale if people want to download just one of those lessons as well. But wait till after they're all been recorded.
That's amazing. And I just noticed that the class is on Sunday, that's actually a really good day.
It's Sunday evening, Eastern time, and Sunday late afternoon, Pacific. And so we tried to make it a time when people can sit for a couple hours and listen, and because I want to change their entire viewing of the body, of food, of health and disease. This is what you're looking at. Let me show you what food does to the body. And so it's worth.
And I got to tell you, I mean, just based on these modules, this course would be several $1,000s. It's $200. I mean, that is a drop in the bucket for what you're going to be. I mean, just to be able to spend 24 hours with Dr. Klaper. That's amazing.
Yes, in the time of COVID-19, we had thought of pricing it much higher, but the higher you price it, the less available it becomes to people. And I want this knowledge out. I don't want to hold on to this. I want it out there. And so most people don't have any problem with that, with $200. And it's definitely worth every penny, as you say.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's like, I mean, I'm very bad at math, but it's like what, $15 a course?
Yes,
it's ridiculous.
Something like that. Yeah,
like less than a price of a movie if we could go to movies.
Indeed. Yes. Remember movies? Yes.
A long time ago. Yeah. A few dentists are watching and asking, are there any CEUs available for this course?
Not this time around. This is our shakedown cruise here. When we have the entire package together, we will be approaching American College of Lifestyle Medicine, American College of Family Practice, and we will be getting CEUs, but not this time around. You get a certificate at the end to hang on your wall that you participated in the course, but no official CEUs. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's and there's some nurses watching. Guys, come on. I mean, after all, Dr. Klaper has done so much for so many for years. I think we should just sign up for this course just because, even if we're not going to take it, gift it to somebody, because I'm going to. I'm serious. I can't believe that. That is just crazy, that price. So anyway, thank you so much for doing that. You know, a lot of people are wondering I know you're in Florida now. Do you ever see patients in person if they live in Florida?
Indeed. Thank you for that. In this age of telemedicine, I have jumped on the telemedicine rocket ship, and for medical, legal reasons, etc., I have joined a wonderful telemedicine company who does plant-based telemedicine. And we're three doctors who, if you talk about getting off your high blood pressure medicine, you won't hear us cluck our tongues and wag our fingers at you. We'll say, good for you. Let's talk about what you're eating. And so I work with Dr. Lori Marvis and Dr. Chris Miller. And the name of the organization is called Plant-Based Telehealth. And if people would like to do a consultation with me, you can arrange this. It's very reasonably priced. I can only do consultations right now in the 4 states that I have medical licenses: California, Hawaii, Florida, and New York. And so if you live in one of those 4 states, you can get on our website and make an appointment to see me, plantbasedtelehealth.com, And we're working to get more licensed. Dr. Marbus, who knows everything that I know, she's a plant-based whiz. She's got licenses in 42 states, I believe. And so between Dr. Miller, Dr. Marbus, and I, we have most of the states covered. So if you want a plant-based doc to do a telemedicine consultation with, go to plantbasedtelehealth.com.
Yeah, I've been posting that link, and we may have a new state one of these days. They're saying Washington, D.C. may become its own state.
Yes, so. Look at that. Good for them. I hope so.
So hopefully you'll be licensed there. Great question by Sershi. I hope I pronounced your name right. Is the telehealth appointments, are they ever covered by insurance?
They are not. They're $150. It's not like it's $1,000. It's $150 for 30 minutes, and it's cash only. We have to. There's so many different insurance companies are all cutting back on what they're covering, and we've just cash on the barrelhead. And so no, at this point, and we don't do Medicare. Medicare does not cover telemedicine.
Yeah, that's too bad. And people that live outside the United States, they can't really see.
No, on the contrary, international. We do a lot of international. We welcome international calls because the malpractice liability thing falls apart. It's no one in Thailand is going to sue me in a Thai court or whatever. It doesn't work that way. So no, we do. I just did one in India, one in Malaysia, one in UK. So absolutely, we do a lot of international calls. So come one and come all. Yes.
That is fantastic. So Dr. Klaper, back to the masterclass. If somebody has to miss one night, is there a chance to rewatch that module?
If you've paid for it, you will get a code that gives you access to each one of these. If you miss it, not a problem. Don't stress over it. You can download it and record it and download it and replay it at your leisure. So yeah, not a problem.
Linda Middlesworth said, I registered because I adore Dr. Klaper. I mean, for no other reason, just a chance to spend time with him a couple times a month. To me, that sounds like wonderful. And you get to ask questions. So who knows, maybe you'll inspire some of us to go to medical school.
Indeed, it's wonderful stuff.
Oh, man. Wouldn't it be great if there was a medical school where you could be the dean?
Oh, I'd love that. What a great way to finish my career. Oh, that would be a dream come true.
Dr. Klaper, did you see the movie, Dr. Saray Stanik's movie?
Code Blue?
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a medical school there that did something in the culinary realm.
Yeah, University of North Carolina, I think, or University of South Carolina, one of them. They were pretty progressive, and I should check in with her.
I was going to say, that sounds like a great place for you to be promoting this class. I don't know the doctor. I think it's Jennifer Kirk or something like that, but I would think that those are the kind of people that you'd want to promote this class to.
Thank you. I should check in with Saray and see. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And ask them if you could be the dean. That's great. Well, I'm excited about this. This is amazing. Yeah. And regarding Code Blue, Dr. Saray Stanik was scheduled. She had to rebook, but she's going to be coming on very soon to talk about the film, which you actually, I believe, can watch now on Amazon Prime.
Oh, it's a wonderful film, a very important film. And she's great. What a heartful, beautiful physician she is, and just a wonderful person. So I'm glad you're having her on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
Is there anybody you wish you could get to, Dr. Klaper? Like, you see these doctors that are on television and they think a little bit differently than us. And do you ever wish, like, if I could just have a couple hours of his time, I could explain to him why he's wrong or she's wrong?
Yes. When you get them alone, I suspect Dr. Oz and Dr. Andrew Weil, they'll admit, we know plant-based diets are healthier. We all know that. But I'm sponsored by McDonald's. I'm sponsored by this pharmaceutical company. I can't dare say that. And so the truth gets squashed. But the truth is the truth. Talk about an idea whose time has come. Boy, this is the idea, and this is the time for it. And there's no stopping it. Yeah. And so one way or another, it's bubbling to the surface, and I'm in one of those bubbles here. I want to make a big pop when it comes up to the surface. So it just becomes common knowledge. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the people say, of course my doctor asked what I ate. Of course he encouraged me to adopt a plant-based diet. He wants me to be healthy. That's what we're trying to create. And it's not that far. The public, once they demand it, it changes. The medical professions, like the politicians, when the public changes, then they follow. And if people start demanding that their doctors know something about nutrition and plant-based nutrition, they'll be reluctant, but they will begrudgingly open to the subject. And that's what we need to happen as we're trying to facilitate here.
Yeah. Whenever we have plant-based royalty on the show, we always get other plant-based royalty watching. And Robert Cheek says, please say hi to Dr. Klaper for me. He's one of the best in the business.
Oh, thank you. And I'm going to be calling on Robert's expertise because session 7 is fueling the plant-based athlete. And I know something about it, but I'm not a plant-based athlete, certainly not on the level that Robert Cheek is. And I'll be checking in with him to get some perspectives about, again, what works, what doesn't work, and what to tell your athletic patients. So thank you, Robert. You'll be hearing from me soon.
Well, if you need help with Module 11, eating healthy in the real world, I'm happy to donate any recipes that you would like. Absolutely.
We will be talking. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, it must be frustrating knowing what you know and seeing what you see, because I'm obviously not a doctor, but I have to sometimes work with doctors that are not plant-based. Like I do these cooking, especially now when we're not traveling, people that normally maybe wouldn't hire me because of the expense or having me like work in their programs, which is very nice for me. You know, I'm getting paid to just do cooking demos. And I'm working with this one organization that is trying to help people with cancer, specifically women with breast cancer. And so they'll have me do the cooking demo, and then we'll have a dietitian and a doctor talk, and they'll say things like, well, you know, you have breast cancer, you probably should only have 1 glass of wine a day. And I'm like, and I can't say anything because I'm not a doctor, but it's like, you know what I mean?
Oh my, yeah, 10 of those go across my desk on most days. And it makes you, you know, it's a Fellini movie, yeah, on some level. It's really bizarre. Other questions there?
I didn't know I didn't know how much time you had, and if you wanted to answer a question.
Yes, no, I have time.
Okay. Sure. Well, thank you. I want to respect your time. Sure. I did see some questions, one about PCOS. Somebody that okay, here it is from Jennifer. I would like to know, having PCOS, should I try to avoid starch more as far as potatoes and rice, etc., or can I do them? And I believe she just went plant-based 2 days ago.
Actually, there's always an element of insulin resistance in PCOS, and the thing that you really want to avoid are the fats and oils. You know, a small handful of seeds or nuts are okay, but don't be pouring olive oil on your food. Don't be eating huge amounts of nuts and avocados, etc. You want to keep your insulin receptors open as much as you can. And eat a whole lot of green and yellow vegetables, take a walk every day. Clear out your insulin receptors, a lot of the symptoms of PCOS really improve. And so focus on getting rid of the excess fats in your diet more than the starches.
Great. Cricky says, I watched your osteoporosis lecture and with a friend of mine and learned so much. There's a new drug her doctor is recommending called Forteo that is supposed to help your body build bone. Have you ever heard of it, and what are your thoughts?
Yes, I've heard of Forteo. It's basically a hormone that stimulates bone production. As I say in my video on my website, I've got some videos. One of them is called Healthy Bones, and it talks about how to reverse osteoporosis naturally. And you have cells in your bone tissue that will spin out new bone if you use your bones. Just like you use your muscles, they get stronger. You use your bones, they get stronger. So doing regular exercise with stretch bands or with weights or getting a light weighted vest and taking a walk every day, that's how you strengthen your bones. These drugs are like chemical wrenches that reach into the bone cells and turn on some enzyme systems that make them create new bone. It's not a natural process. And instead of the bone tissue lining up along the lines of stress that happen naturally, you can get frankenbone. You can get a bone that doesn't have the structural strength. I'm suspicious. The question is, what happens to these folks 5 years, 10 years down the line? Have you really reduced their incidence of fractures? I have not seen any convincing evidence of that. I believe that there's, I want to talk out of turn, but I think there's a risk of stimulating certain types of cancers with this drug. It's a cellular stimulant. And so if you want to get your bones stronger, use them. Don't ask a drug to act as a chemical wrench and goose up the production of some important processes in the body. You stay physically active and your bones will stay strong. That's by far the best way to handle low bone
Terrific.
density.
Shirley says, Dr. Klaper, we love you, 21 hearts. And Leah says, how do you manage fibromyalgia?
Oh my. It depends what's really inflamed. In fibromyalgia, the muscles and the connective tissue deep in the muscle are inflamed. Many times the sore joints people have are sore ligaments from sleeping wrong, from using them mechanically improperly. Often it's not that generalized aching that people get with fibromyalgia, but the term is thrown around. But if you're someone who's really got this generalized aching, this would be a good time to try a repeated episodes of brief fast, do a 3-day water fast. See how you feel on day 4. If you feel better, like many people certainly do, you may once a month do a little 3 or 4 day water fast. And see if that doesn't put out the fire for you, because it'll reset your microbiome, it'll reduce the inflammation in the muscles, and take out any processed foods that are filled with our colors and preservatives and flavorings and dough conditioners, etc. Let that clear out of your muscle tissue, out of your connective tissue. Let things go back to baseline. The body doesn't want to be inflamed. If that's an unnatural state, inflammation is expensive to the body, and low-grade damage happens. And to maintain this state month after month is not something the body wants to do. So drop back to normal. What's the basic healthy diet? Big salads and soups and steamed veggies, and lots of water. And maybe some intermittent fasting. Start with that, and sore tissues anywhere in the body usually get better.
Great. How about using rebounders for bone strength?
I've not seen the studies showing, you've got to follow someone for 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, and actually measure their bone strength as this happens. It might help the bones. You'd have to convince me that it's better than, again, taking a walk with a weighted vest or doing some stretch band workouts. My concern about the rebounders, especially for people of the female persuasion, is that as you're going up and down and up and down, as you get to the bottom part of the excursion, when the gravitational forces are the greatest, just as you're about to come back up, the denser tissues in the body have a downward momentum. And we're talking about the breasts and the uterus and the suspensory ligaments of holding up your colon. You do that for 20 minutes or half an hour, and hundreds of times you pull this downward force down on the breast tissue, down on the uterus, down on the colon. I can't help but think that as the months and years go by, you're not going to put a permanent downward sag in these tissues. So I'm a little concerned about the rebounders. If you want to strengthen your bones, as I said, take a walk with a weighted vest or do a stretch band workout.
Great. Carla says, I love Dr. Klaper and his sweet wife. Never would have known about them if it wasn't for you, AJ. Thanks so much. Elise had mentioned on the show Monday that you knew each other like over 30 years ago. So why did it take you so long to make a move?
I'm a slow learner. Elise and I have been going out of each other's lives for decades. We met at John Robbins' Earth Save organization in Santa Cruz, California, in 1986. But we were with different people, and it just wasn't right to get together. And our paths crossed over the years, and it just wasn't right until I came back from New Zealand in 2009. I worked down there for a few years, and rendezvoused with Elise, and the stars lined up just right. She wasn't with anyone, I wasn't with anyone, and the chemistry was just elegant and exciting. And we've been together ever since. And I'm
wow. Well, I feel like saying it's about damn
It's
time.
about damn time. She's the sweetest soul. She doesn't have a mean bone in her body. She's and she cares about the animals so much. She is vegan through and through in her being. And it's just a joy to be living with her.
Absolutely. Let's see. These questions move very fast. Mary says, I've been eating as a vegan for 2.5 years to avoid an operation on my second carotid artery. I'm almost 64 and suffered a stroke at 50. I'm a patient of the Barnard Medical Center, but need some additional dietary help on busting the plaque and opening up the artery to listen the velocities reading in the ultrasound 2 weeks ago of 387. Food advice, please. Greens.
Yeah, indeed. That's a complex issue, and I would need to look at the scans, etc. Call plant-based telehealth, and we'll get you the right information. I'll see if I don't know where Washington D.C. fits into our malpractice coverage there, but we'll see if we can get some kind of way to get you some good advice. So write that. Plant-based telehealth has a write us section on their website. Write us with that, and we'll get back to you on that.
Great. And I can't find the question. Somebody about they had a lot of stents, and I mentioned the Dr. S. Here it is. Janet, I have CHD with 5 stents and started whole food plant-based diet over 6 months ago. Can I still reverse my heart disease?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, those arteries. In our master class, I want to focus in on each of these organs, how amazing they are, and how they are constantly undergoing renewal and regeneration. Those healing forces are always at work. And we go into how plaques melt away and why they would melt away, and the best way to help arteries open up. So yes, you're far from hopeless. The areas that are stented open, hopefully will just stay open. The question is those arteries that are just before the stent and just after the stent, are they going to close up? Are they going to thrombose? So those are the ones that you want to reverse any early plaque formation. And the answer is yes, you can. So absolutely. If you haven't run into Dr. Esselstyn's book, get it, read it, and follow it to the letter if you've got those many stents. And then your artery should heal. Absolutely.
Linda says, I love that you care about animals as well.
How can you not?
Yeah, but now it's almost time for you and Elise to get one.
Indeed. Yes. We had been traveling so much, it wasn't fair to get an animal, but now we're home more. We would love to have dogs and cats and rabbits and all sorts of things. We'll see who enters our lives.
Oh, that would be amazing. Dr. Klaper, will you be mentioning AFib in your upcoming masterclass?
Yes, we will be touching on it. It's one of the most stubborn and puzzling of the conditions. I got a couple of vegan folks with atrial fibrillation episodes, and we don't have all the answers to everything, but the pacemaker cells in the right atrium of the heart gets out of rhythm, get irritated, and you really have to look at all possibilities in your daily life as far as what you're taking in, herbal teas, hidden caffeine, anything you might be low-grade allergy to, gluten, etc. Yeah, any of them can possibly be a trigger, as well as make sure there's not a sign of early heart disease or high blood pressure or official heart issues there. So it's a complex topic, and yes, we will be touching on it, but to clean up everything that might be making those pacemaker cells unhappy, and it definitely can resolve. But sometimes you need things done.
Sarah notices that you have a copy of Undo It behind your shoulder.
I do, yes, right. Dean sent it to me, and it's just a great book, and I recommend it to patients as well.
Right, he'll be coming on soon for some reason, there's certain people, I've known you so long and you're a teddy bear, but there's certain people I always get nervous when I'm interviewing, and Dean Ornish is one of them.
Yeah, right now I'm interviewing him for another event, and the first time I get to interview him, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's neat. You know who I'll be interviewing, who I also get nervous, and maybe you could give me some advice on questions to ask, is Dr. Walter Willett.
Sure. Yes, I give you some advice on that. Good for you. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're and what's the context of
Well,
the
it's just
interview?
to come on the show,
Just to come on the show?
it's
Okay.
general, but
All right.
I just
Oh, for
I don't
sure.
ever want to like offend my guests, but I'd like to know, like, I don't know, I
I'll
just,
I'll give you some good ones.
oh, that would be amazing.
I know what I'd ask them.
Yeah, because that's what I do. I'll sometimes ask my doctor friends, like, if you
Okay.
were talking to him, what would you ask?
Oh,
Oh,
you
this is
bet.
interesting. Matt says low testosterone on a vegan diet.
Yeah. The question is, it's functionally low for you. I'm always a little suspicious when I see testosterone levels because they are all done on meat-eating American guys, and so the level of normal is elevated up, and because of all the male hormones they eat and the beef and the various stimulants that they get, and so to put out testosterone in their diet. So a guy may feel, whether his energy level's down a little bit, and he gets his testosterone level, oh, it's low. Well, it may not be low at all for you. And it's a complex issue as far as what kind of symptoms you might be experiencing and things that you can specifically do about them. But just because your testosterone is a little lower than the American normal, I wouldn't stress over the American normal is abnormally high. And high testosterones are not healthy, and for your body and for this planet, if there's anything we've got too much of on this planet, it's testosterone. And seriously, it's associated with everything from heart attacks and cancers. You don't want a real high testosterone, so it would be something to talk about.
And I forgot to mention, among your many accolades, like so many of the guests on this show, Dr. Klaper also is a former winner or inductee into the Vegan Hall of Fame. You actually very early, 1992, I believe.
Right. Yes. Right.
Do you have, because I have that, I just got it a few years ago, and I have the clock on my wall. Do you have that, your award up?
Oh, they gave me a lovely statue of a peace dove, and it was yes, I
Oh,
certainly
nice.
have that on my shelf.
Right.
Yeah, it was a lovely honor.
One of my favorite things, well, a lot of things you say are my favorite, but I love how you say there are no failed vegans that were born vegan.
No failed vegans, but
because a lot of people they go vegan and then the vegan diet failed them. And you say when they're born vegan, there's no failed vegans that were born vegan.
indeed, and very few folks were lucky enough to be raised as vegans, and that has echoes later on in our life, no doubt.
Yeah, my husband has SVT and is on medication. Any suggestions?
Well, SVT is supraventricular tachycardia, and he has episodes of fast heart rate, and again, something's making that heart irritable. Whenever there's arrhythmias of that ilk, very fast, you want to make sure it's not a sign of early heart disease, that is tiny little arterioles are not clogging up, that if there's anybody who should be on a whole food plant-based diet with no oil, no added oil to it, it's someone having SVT. And so do that first and foremost, lots of vegetable soups and salads and steamed veggies. Do that for a few months and see if it doesn't get better, and maybe even get off the medications. But you want to keep those arteries as open as possible. So that's often what the message of those kind of arrhythmias are.
Nice. R. Lane says, hi, Dr. Klaper. I'm a 69-year-old male and have been whole food plant-based for 8 years, but I still have to take prostate medication, Flomax. Any suggestions for alternative treatments?
Oh boy, I've got a number of guys in that position that the prostate gland got big from the dairy and the meat for decades, and now they're stuck with a big prostate, and it gets big not only on the outside, but it gets big on the inside where the urethra, where the urinary passage goes right through, and so the prostate tissue encroaches in on the urethral outflow channel, and they can't pee so well. But drugs like Flomax relax. There are muscles in the prostate gland that contract during orgasm. The alpha blockers that he's on relaxes those muscles, and if you can just open up the channel just a little bit, it makes a big difference. You get a lot better urine flow, and So the best thing to do, and I have no objection to using that, is you don't want to go into urinary obstruction. And so it's okay to keep using that medication for now. Here's someone where extra a high fat diet probably not his friend, and you would consider intermittent fasting. Interesting to think what a 3 or 4 day water fast, if he could pee a lot better on day 4 or 5 after that. Then because it drops hormone levels, and that might be something that would benefit his prostate gland tissue. I would try a series of short water fasts and see if that doesn't help. And as we get older, the prostate, it should open up a little bit, especially under the influence of the diet and this medication. And with little luck, you might be able to stop using it. I hope so. But if not, go see a urologist. You probably already have. But they can do dilations, blow up balloons in there. And you want to see if you can stretch it apart or laser it a little bit. Often that works miracles. So the green light laser treatment is often a very good one for that. So don't hesitate. Don't put up with really aggravating urinary symptoms that knock the heck out of your night's sleep. Again, I would work with your urologist. Give it another year or so on the Flomax. If it's not better, then maybe have something done.
Dina and a few others are asking where you recommend they get the weighted vests.
You can go to my website, drklaper.com. I've got a link to, there's a good product on Amazon. The nice thing about it is that it has pockets. You take the weights out. The weights are little 1 pound sacks of shot. And so you start with an empty vest, and you take a nice walk with an empty vest. Just wear it around the house for a day or 2 or 3. And then just put 2 pounds in. And just go for a walk, and every step you take, while weight goes down your spine, down your hips, and start strengthening your bones. And after 10 or 12 walks with 2 pounds, then pop in another 2 pounds, 4 pounds, and then 6 pounds, get up to 8 pounds. That's about all you need. And every other day, take a 40-minute walk with a 8-pound weight vest, and you watch that bone density increase. And as you said, there's a nice version on my website where you can take all the weights out.
Yeah, you have a great lecture too on osteoporosis that you can listen to. It's really excellent.
Healthy bones, right?
Yeah, really good, really great.
Oh, if people, by the way, if people want to see the lecture I give to medical students at the medical schools, that's on my YouTube channel. It's called, as AJ said, What I Wish I Learned in Medical School About Nutrition. And you can watch me talk to the med students and tell them what I think they need to hear, and you might benefit from seeing it. So my talk to the med students is available on my YouTube channel.
And I will, while you're answering the next question, I'll look for a link so I can post it for people. Matt says, would Dr. Klaper ever be interested in speaking in Ireland? I'm studying nutrition at a college in Waterford City, and having Dr. Gregor speak at my college, it would have a big impact on my colleagues and professors. That sounds like it's right up your alley.
Oh, I would love, I was in Ireland so long ago. I would love to do that. I have such respect for the Irish physicians I've met, and I would love to talk to the Irish medical students. So the answer is yes, yes, yes. I certainly have considered that. Now with the COVID crimp and all that difficulty in gathering people together and enough of them in a room to feel comfortable listening to a lecture, that's quite a feat these days. So what I've been doing is, because my lecture to the med students is on my YouTube channel, I've been working with the people in medical schools. I tell them, listen, have your students watch my video on a Monday or Tuesday, and then on Thursday, Zoom me in and let's do a Q&A about what they saw. And so at least I can be there live and talk about the material that they saw on the video there. So we do kind of a double hit there. And if I can't come in person, I would definitely be open to doing that. Please write me.
That's terrific. Hi, let's see where to go. These go so fast. Heidi says, are stool tests good to do rather than a colonoscopy?
It's been interesting to watch the DNA-based stool tests, appear as DNA testing for so many things now, from crime to paternity to cancer detection is now coming to the fore and commercially feasible. And they got a pretty good, I think they identify 90+%. You've got a colon cancer, the DNA of those cancer cells shows up in your stool about nine out of 10 times. So it's definitely something, I'm in big favor of those stool tests, and a positive test should always be followed up. What do you do with a negative test? How confident can you be that there are just no cancer cells up there? If you've been eating a whole food plant-based diet, you probably don't have colon cancer. But if there's any question, you've got a strong family history of it, you've had a dubious colonoscopy, you've had polyps in the past, whatever, then if you don't want another colonoscopy and you want to do the stool test, I would at least repeat it every few months for 3 or 4 times so you can believe those negative tests. So you don't want to have a false negative with the colon cancer test. So that's the only real concern. Any question, get the colonoscopy, at least you'll know, and then you can follow with the stool test after that.
Terrific. And I posted the link to the lecture that you were talking about. Ellen says, any suggestions for a very thin man, my partner, with colorectal cancer and diabetes type 1.5, confirmed carnivore, good prognosis per oncologist, but I still think he could improve his chances of success if he went plant-based, but he's concerned about losing weight because he's already thin.
Yeah, important point. That's an issue, but eating meat is not going to keep weight on him. That's not his salvation, and he needs calories and protein absolutely. Now, you got to make sure that colon cancer is not still active, that we're not dealing with cancer cachexia, where the cancer's eating up his nutrients. If the cancer's long gone, if he's had successful surgery, successful chemo, and there is no active cancer in his body, he's just a skinny guy. And I've got skinny vegans in the same boat. What can they do? They got to make every meal count. They've got to eat these nutrients-dense foods. There's weight gain smoothies you can make. They ought to be eating a fair amount of starches and protein, lentils and potatoes at the same meal. And here's one use. You've got to really optimize the absorption of the nutrients. You're not just what you swallow, you're what you eat, you're what you absorb. And so you got to chew that food to a cream or throw it into a blender and do a blended salad or a blended soup. And then here's a use for digestive enzymes to break those starches and proteins down even more so. If he's trying to gain weight, I would get a really dense potato, lentil, tempeh, gruel together, season it however you'd like. And I would take an enzyme tablet before the meal, go through take his weight gain food there. And I mean, he can do it and just eat it in the bowl, etc. And then take another enzyme tablet at the end of the meal and sandwich the food in between these 2 enzyme tablets to increase the absorption of the nutrients. And put a fair dollop of fat in there. He's entitled to a quarter of an avocado or a handful of walnuts with pretty much each meal. Because they add, in their whole form, they added some good protein to it as well. There's an art to putting weight on skinny vegans, and we'll be talking about that in our Fueling a Plant-Based Athlete. And we'll maybe even touch on the obesity masterclass as well.
Great. Julie wants to know, are you going to touch on hypothyroidism in the course, which again, I'm posting a link for and encouraging everybody to sign up, just if for no other reason, to support Dr. Klaper for all he's done for us.
We might be. Session number 10, I believe, is optimizing organ function. What happens to the liver physiology and the renal kidney physiology with meat-based diets, plant-based diets, doctors need to know this. It's very different. You've got a different functioning liver and different functioning kidneys. If plant-based nutrients versus animal-based nutrients are coming up from the intestinal tract, and they have very different effects on these organs. How about the thyroid? I'll probably touch on it, but if the thyroid's been badly damaged from Hashimoto's, I can't magically resurrect that. But we'll talk about iodine deficiencies and other strategies that might help. But if you've had bad Hashimoto's and you're on a high dose thyroid replacement, I can't, don't sign on expecting a magical cure for your situation. I wish I could wave a magic wand, but I can't do it on that kind of thyroid. Sorry.
Right. So guys, I tried to ask Dr. Klaper as many questions as I could. Please realize that you're watching on 5 different platforms and the feed goes fast. So if I didn't get to yours, it's not because I don't love you, because I probably went too fast. But you can take Dr. Klaper's class. There'll be time for Q&A each week, and you can have a private appointment. Dr. Klaper, last question, just for fun. Is there anything you miss about California in general, or True North, or Dr. Goldhammer in particular?
Oh, absolutely. I was on the staff at True North Health Center in Santa Rosa, California for 8 years. And I saw hundreds, and I saw supervise hundreds of water fasts. I saw thousands of people come through. And I watched plant-based medicine done right. I've watched it manifest fully because we've got complete control over their diet. And I've watched these remarkable changes, to see psoriasis fade away, to see inflamed joints stop hurting, to see asthmatic lungs stop wheezing, to see high blood pressure drop. This is such exciting medicine. I learned so much there. And what I saw there is enabling me to give the master class in clinical plant-based nutrition, because I saw it applied so thoroughly there. So I'm so grateful for the experience I got there, and the people are just lovely. Dr. Goldhammer's got a golden heart. He's got that gruff exterior, but he wants the best for people, and he's a really loving man, and he attracts people that are very dedicated to plant-based nutrition and helping people get healthy. And so, yes, I miss True North, but it had to move out to a bigger platform, which we've done.
Well, if you hadn't have left the desert, he's coming for dinner next month. It would have been great to see you.
Oh, indeed. I'm living not too far from you. That's true.
Right. And then I come to the desert and he leaves. Boy, what a disappointment. Robert says, thanks for such a wonderful guest. So is everybody. So guys, if he's that wonderful, sign up for his class. Let's show him how wonderful he is. And if you don't want to take it yourself, give it as a gift. What a great gift it would be to receive. Thank you so much, Dr. Klaper. I wish you much success with your class and everything you're doing. And again, thank you so much for everything that you are doing for animals, the planet, and human health.
Thank you, AJ, and thanks to all your listeners, and thanks for all your great service. All the best to you.